California Cooking. Here's what's coming up on today's show. I'm learning how to make the most amazing chocolate bourbon pecan pie from someone who knows a thing or two about baking, Sprinkles founder Candace Nelson. Then I'm channeling my inner Ina Garten and cooking up the coziest breadcrumb-coated chicken and mashed potatoes dinner. And it's apple season. I'm trying out my mom's baked apples recipe. Candace Nelson is the woman behind the cupcake craze known as Sprinkles Cupcakes. And she also has a restaurant in town called Pizzana, which has the best Neapolitan pizza in town. She's a judge on Netflix's Sugar Rush, and now she's taking everything she's learned about baking and helping us with our pies this Thanksgiving. I am so excited to have a one-on-one baking class with Candace Nelson. Hi, Candace.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Look at you. You got your pumpkins. You're already in your holiday red.
I love you, and I've told you this before because you, I think, have such a positive attitude. It's infectious, and I think, you know, struggling like everybody has during this year, there's been tough times for sure. Many people aren't going to be with their families this holiday season. Have you been able to kind of stay positive and you know, stay close to your family during this time? I know it's been tough for everybody.
Well, it has been tough. You know, I have parents up in the Bay Area who are dying to see their grandkids and haven't been able to. But you're right, Jessica. I mean, I love to keep it on the up and up. I love to, you know, look on the bright side of things. And I think for me, my sort of happy place and where I find my comfort and my zen is really in the kitchen. And I'm baking with my kids. I've come out with this pie course for people who really want to, you know, take their banana bread skills to the next level and learn to master pie.
We know you, of course, as the cupcake queen of Sprinkles. You know how to make a cupcake, you know how to make a cake. Your pie course or your pop-up pie course, which is such a brilliant idea. What are some of the takeaways?
First of all, we're going, instead of like a cookbook scenario where people throw 100 recipes at you and show you the finished picture and say, have at it. This is really about editing it down to like 10 simple recipes and going deep. And so it's about teaching you recipes that you're gonna reach for time and time again. And it's also about helping you understand the why behind how so you can become a better baker and develop that feel and develop that understanding.
Do you have a favorite Thanksgiving pie?
I do love myself some chocolate, so we're making a chocolate bourbon pecan pie today. I feel like there's not enough chocolate in general on the Thanksgiving.
No, you're right. You're right.
So I'm put some chocolate in there. But I also love apple pie because I feel like there's so many different ways to go, just depending on what sort of apple you use.
Is there a pie that the kids and the husband ask for every year that you have to make?
Well, it depends. Kids and husband are different. Kids are still coming into their own when it comes to flavors like pumpkin. Kids are still very firmly in the chocolate camp, but my husband loves my pumpkin pie. In the pie pop-up, I have a pumpkin pie that is made in a graham cracker crust with a towering of meringue that is torched. It's like a pumpkin s'more. It's insane.
Candace, can I make a confession? I, until yesterday when I practiced your recipe, had never made a homemade pie dough. I always buy it. I always buy it.
This is quite a confession.
What you did is you wrote the recipe in a way that A, was so easy to understand, you almost couldn't screw it up. And I have to say, I made some dough and it kind of looks like the real deal. I'm really proud of this. Let's make some crust. Let's make some pie dough.
Okay, we're gonna start with our dry ingredients in our food processor. We're adding our salt and our sugar too. So let's just give our dry ingredients a little whip up here. Come up. Then we've got our butter that has been sitting in the fridge or the freezer. I actually like to put it, you know, in the freezer for the last 20 or 30 minutes to get it extra cold. And it's sliced up, but it doesn't need to be, I mean, your cubes are perfect. I'm very impressed. But it doesn't need to be perfect because we are just gonna blend this up in here. We're gonna give it a blitz. And we wanna pulse it until the chunks of butter are larger than pea size, maybe more like an almond size.
Okay, I'll follow your lead.
Okay. Just kind of going in and seeing that your butter is cut into the flour.
Yeah.
And once that happens, we are good to start adding our liquid. We've got our water here, which also has to be really cold. So I like to pour cold water in, and then I throw a couple ice cubes in just to make sure it's chilly while I'm working. And let's start by adding half of our water. And then we're gonna just pulse it up a couple more times and test the hydration of the dough, and I'll show you how to do that. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna test the hydration by putting a little bit of it in your hands and then squeezing it together. If it comes together easily, generally speaking, you're hydrated enough. I also like to kind of break it open and see what's going on the inside. If it's super crumbly, it might need a tablespoon more of water, but I'm actually good to go. I can easily bring this together with my hands.
Me too.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna turn out this dough onto the countertop and just bring it together with our hands. So we're gonna just bring this together with our hands, which should be easy, relatively easy to do if you're properly hydrated. What I do is I form it together into a dip, then I cut it in half and form two just sort of fat discs of dough. And then what we're gonna wanna do is give these guys a little nap in the fridge for at least an hour. To let the glutens rest, we're gonna wrap them in plastic. I am so proud of you. I feel like we've made a real breakthrough today.
Oh, we have. Our dough has rested, Candace.
Our dough has rested. We have all that beautiful butter that's just kind of hanging out in that dough, ready to burst in the oven and give us flaky layers. We're gonna bake our dough ahead of time. It's called par or blind baking, before we ultimately add the filling and finish it off.
And this is first time dough, everybody. I am look at this. It's gorgeous.
Aw, I'm so proud of you. This is amazing. This makes me so happy as a teacher. And now we're gonna transfer this baby and then lay it right on over the pie pan. If it needs some adjusting, you can just take your hands and tug on one side. Then we're going to sort of gently coax this pie into the pan, into the corners of the pan.
Now, do you do a fancy crimping situation or?
I love just a simple crimp. You can fold over and just do a fork, or you can fold over, which I'm doing right now. You wanna make sure that it's sitting on the lip of the pan. Now take your thumb on one hand and take your thumb and your index finger on the other. And basically what you're gonna do is cup. So it's like a
that's how you do that.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, Candace.
And just go all the way around the pie going like that.
You just rocked my world on that one. We've got our cute little pie.
We are going to dock, which basically means just adding your air vents to your dough before we bake. We're gonna bake this dough in advance, as I said, and the way I do that is by docking, and then I add a liner, which is typically parchment, and the way to get the parchment in there is crumpled up.
Oh.
And then it's easier to fit into the pan. Then we're gonna add some sort of weights to keep the pie down. I have ceramic pie weights here. So we're just gonna add this to a really hot oven, 375, even 400, on a preheated baking sheet. Give it 15 minutes for it to just kind of set. Now onto the filling. We're just gonna mix everything up. And we have some, because I mean, what are the holidays without a little bourbon?
Cheers.
Be adding cheers. So yeah, so just, take your time and add your sugar, add your dark corn syrup, add the eggs, the bourbon. I'm mixing up my chocolate, butter, cocoa, and sugar. We're just mixing, we're not trying to add any air into it. And then the vanilla, don't forget the salt. So this blind baked pie crust is just begging for a little filling. Right now we are going to take some of our pecan halves, which we've toasted so that they're fragrant and delicious. And we're just gonna add them to the bottom, spread out pretty uniformly across the bottom of our pie shell. And we're just gonna pour this filling right on over it. I do feel like we need some dramatic music.
We do. Cue the music. Now we've got our chocolate chips.
Yeah, so now just like throw those chocolate chips on top of that pie with complete abandon. We still have some pecan halves left, and we are just gonna, this is when we can let our personality shine.
And so this bakes at 325, so you're saying that's kind of low for a pie.
Yes, exactly. So that's why we had to get a good head start on the browning at the bottom of this pie already with our blind bake. Woohoo! Off to bake!
Going in. Candace, ta-da!
you, Jessica.
I feel like confetti should shoot from the rafters. And I have to say, you're the best teacher because look at that. You took someone who is not a good baker. And I actually made something that's edible. Oh my gosh. It's got that classic kind of pecan pie where it's ooey gooey, but it's got the chocolate and then the hit of bourbon. You're our pie pro, Candace. We love you. Happy holidays.
Thanks for making me look good. Happy holidays, Jessica.
Mwah.
See you at PTLA.
Bye.
Bye.
Seriously, you guys, that chocolate pecan bourbon pie was the best thing I've ever had. If you want to learn how to make pies from Candace Nelson, go to piepopup.com to find out more about her pie pop-up this Thanksgiving. Coming up, it's apple season and I'm making my mom's baked apples. The way the house smells when you bake these apples stuffed with butter and cinnamon, let me just say it's worth it just for that. And Levi gives my mom's baked apples a try. But first, I'm cooking up a chicken and mashed potatoes dish that is so comforting this time of year. That's coming up next. I am not shy about saying I love the Barefoot Contessa Ina Garten, and she loves a good chicken dish, as do I. So I'm making a breadcrumb-coated chicken with goat cheese mashed potatoes, and it's inspired by the one and only Ina. Take a look. Sometimes nothing hits the spot better than a roasted chicken dinner with mashed potatoes. Am I right? Like sometimes that's all you need for dinner and all is right with the world. So what I'm gonna do is, it's kind of a riff on an Ina Garten meal that she makes with her chicken thighs, and she dips them in mustard and wine, and she puts some breading and she just pops them in the oven and lets them bake until they're brown. So I'm gonna do a version of that, and then I'm gonna make some mashed potatoes with herbed goat cheese. Onto the chicken. So what I've got going on here, I've got chicken thighs. You could do chicken legs as well. They have the skin on and the bone in, and that's just gonna give it more flavor. It's gonna give it a juicy quality. What we're gonna do is we're gonna bathe these beauties in some buttermilk. To that, I'm gonna add some lemon juice to give it a little more tang. A half a lemon's fine. A big fat tablespoon, maybe 2, of Dijon mustard, because Ina does use some wine. This is some leftover Prosecco that's gone flat. And let's be honest, Prosecco, white wine, it's all kind of the same. I don't think it could hurt any. Let's salt and pepper our chicken. On top of our chicken, let's put our mixture in. So usually I would use a panko breadcrumb, but it really is easy to make your own fresh breadcrumbs. So I just have a few pieces of a brioche bread. You could use probably sourdough, whatever. I'm gonna make fresh breadcrumbs. I'm gonna use crust and all. So to our bread, rosemary. I've got thyme, some parsley, garlic. Just throw it in there. You don't even have to chop it up. 2 cloves of garlic. Ooh, lemon zest. A little bit of salt. Let me put my lid on and pulse. Look at how easy. We're done. Fresh breadcrumbs. So we've got a sheet pan, cookie sheet, and I like to put parchment or even foil, then you don't have as messy of a baking sheet, and a rack on top. And here's what we do. We take our chicken and we coat it. And that's it. And just pile it on there. Okay, before these go in the oven, I'm gonna hit them with some olive oil on top so these breadcrumbs get nice and golden. Going into a hot oven. So our potatoes are staying warm. I drain them, but they're in the warm pot. And then in this pot, I'm going to add a tablespoon of butter. You could do milk, half and half, heavy cream. I happen to have heavy cream. You don't want to boil your milk or cream, but you want to get it warm, and then I'm gonna mash up my potatoes. So to mash my mashed potatoes, I just took a big whisk and just started going to town on them. To that, in goes our heavy cream and our butter. And now we're getting somewhere. See, that's a pretty nice consistency. I'm gonna just put you don't wanna dry these out, but you could probably put them on a double boiler, which is the best way to keep them warm. But I'm gonna add my herbed goat cheese and just melt that in. Little salt, pepper, and I'm gonna add some fresh chives. And my friends Peter and Phil got me this cool little herb chopper. So I'm gonna use it. Potatoes are done, just waiting on the chicken. The kitchen smells so good from this chicken. Nothing is homier than a plate of mashed potatoes. I would just make a big bath of potatoes at the bottom of my plate, and then I'm gonna take this little guy. And look how crispy that crust got. It's so good. It's just so what you want for dinner. The family will be happy. That dish was so yummy, and it hits the spot on a chilly night. If you want the complete recipe, check us out on our Instagram at KTLA California Cooking. Coming up, it's one of my mom's favorite fall recipes. I'm showing you how to make her baked apples, and we'll find out if Levi likes them too. That's coming up next. Fall is my absolute favorite time of year, and I remember as a kid, as soon as the weather would turn a little bit cooler, my mom would make her baked apples. And boy, are they good. Take a look. I am such a fan of apple season because it's my favorite time of year, and apples, they just remind me of fall and holidays and all that good kind of stuff. So this recipe is one of my mom's favorite things. If you were to ask my mom, what do you love? She would say baked apples. So I'm gonna make this and see if Levi's into it. And these apples, I like this size, the smaller ones, because a massive baked apple, while that's delicious, this is more one serving. So I just cut a little bit of the top off. You just want to get the seeds and the core out of the middle. It's really, this makes it so fast. Look, done, boom. Put them in a baking dish. So I'm going to squeeze a little lemon. Apples oxidize really quickly because you can already see some are brown. And then, kind of the same idea of what you might put in a pie. Butter. I've got some walnuts. Any nut will work. But I happen to have some walnuts in the fridge, and I'm gonna just do a rough chop. Go. Some oats. I'm gonna add enough oats where I feel it's a good consistency. Some cinnamon, because cinnamon and apples are best friends. And some brown sugar. I'm gonna do brown sugar as opposed to white sugar. Maybe 2 tablespoons to start. And then I'm gonna incorporate the butter and the oats and the sugar together. This is why I should have let my butter sit out. It's a little hard. Let's fill our apples. See how this goes. The butter is gonna melt and cook the oats. I have stuffed my apples, they look good. Now, my mom used to put orange juice at the bottom because that's what she would have in the fridge. I have a little apple juice or apple cider would be great, and just put that at the bottom of the baking dish so the apples steam a little because you want the apples to be soft. I'm gonna put them in the oven. I have the oven on about 375, and we'll just bake them until they're soft and they smell good. My mom's baked apples are out of the oven. You don't need a candle. It smells so good in the house. Okay, let me pick the cutest one. And they get soft and they steam a little bit in the apple juice. The apple gets soft, the oats are cooked. Look at that. But I think what would really make this good is a scoop of vanilla ice cream right on top. And if the apple's warm, And that reminds me of my mama. I hope she approves. I improvise, Mom, but it looks like the real deal. All right, let me taste it to see if it's what I remember. Oh, the apple's soft and it's still warm. But it's not mushy, so it still has a little bit of texture, which I like. Get some vanilla ice cream. I probably should have used a spoon, not a fork. It's like apple pie and an oatmeal cookie. Had a baby with some vanilla ice cream. That is yummy. Thanks, Mom. Those are so good and so easy, but let's see if Levi likes Grandma Debbie's baked apples. These are Grandma's baked apples.
I'm only gonna do this.
What does it taste like?
A peach.
A peach? Who are you talking to?
Grandma.
What'd Grandma tell you?
Chocolate time now.
Are you eating all the sugar part?
Yeah. Grandma, I'm eating all the sugar part.
Yay, he likes them. The family tradition continues. And if you want the recipe, you can check us out on our Instagram at KTLA California Cooking. That does it for us. Thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you next week. Okay, your hands aren't sticky. Like, I always have this in there because I'm afraid.
This is quite a confession. This is like breaking news to me.
Right?
I don't know.